Hello, hello. Yeah, it works. So guys, lighting talks are starting. So please. And where is my first speaker? Charles.
Yeah.
Come.
I was just shutting the door. Cool. That's not your job. Okay. Hello, hello. Such a huge, excited audience. Could tell that. Please make your seats. Okay. I'm going to talk about a very exciting topic today. One of the most exciting things that anyone can ever think of. And that is documentation. Oh yeah, I went there. We all use it. We all love it. We all want to improve it. We're all there. So, just as a wave of hands, who uses documentation here on a regular basis? Just wave at me. Oh, wow, that's pretty much everyone. That's good. So, what I'm going to talk today is about how I think we can make contributing to documentation easier. I'm going to talk about 3 things, and then we'll see what happens. So that'll be cool. So, first of all, you're there, you're frustrated with the rubbish documentation you're reading. It's wrong. It's wrong, and you know it's wrong, and you would just like to fix it. You'd just like to change a word. So, I think the first thing that we need is, if you want to get involved in documentation, you need a guide. You need a teacher. The great teacher who takes you along the path, tells you where things are, guides you through your first change. Because I tell you what, every documentation system has a different tool chain, has different rules, so you've got not much chance of getting involved unless you've got a passionate teacher who's willing to hold your hand and help you when you get stuck, tell you what to do. And, at the end of the day, it's, good to build that kind of relationship. And I was in that position a year ago, 6 months ago. I wanted to contribute to documentation, and you get to somewhere and then you're stuck because the tool chain is so difficult. You're like, you just want to make this change, but you can't. So a teacher can show you the way. So that's always awesome. The next thing that I think we need to do to make documentation even more accessible and great is document/make videos of how to contribute to the documentation. Because you want to know how to contribute to the documentation, but you don't know how to. You're sitting there, how do I do it? I don't know. So I think there should be clear guidelines, clear layouts, clear ABC, this is what you do to make a change. This is the commands you do if you're using some kind of, Git or something like that. Make it easy for people so they don't have to think, reinvent the wheel, what do I do here, how do I do it? If you make things difficult, people don't want to know, people don't get stuck, people get demotivated. So many wannabe documentator people get stuck. They're like, oh, I wish I could get involved. Or, I'm not saying everyone, but you just want to make that change even, just that one change that would improve the documentation, and you can't do it. So if we have a ABC 1, 2, 3 system, whether it's, I think, video, whether it's documentation, showing people how to do it, that would just be so cool. And finally, getting on to my favorite subject ever. Who here knows about DocBook or XML? Wave your hands. Less hands, okay. Imagine dark place. Something like HTML with loads and loads of tags. If you miss a tag, your book breaks. If you push that, you break the whole book and you make everyone unhappy. It's very easy to do this. And it's very un-user-friendly. So what I envision in documentation is using simpler formats. And what I'm personally looking at is things like ASCII doc. Anyone heard of ASCII doc? Whoa! Not so many. Imagine ASCII doc is very, very simple. If you want to write bold, You just put star, bold, star. You don't do any tags or something. It's the kind of language that anyone can read intuitively, because you just look at how the other parts of the layout have been put, if that makes any sense, and you can work it out. So, do you want to be presented by tag hell, where you can break anything by, doing, pretty much any change, or do you want it to be really easy? And I think in documentation, we have to make things a lot easier. So, myself and other people are pushing, certainly in the Red Hat world and the upstream kind of world of that, Fedora, CentOS, to get everything to ASCII-Doc. So whoever you are, if you encounter a problem, you can make that change. It's not going to be a hard process. It's going to be a simple process, and you can get involved, and that's very exciting. Those are the 3 points that I've covered, and I don't have any more, so that's kind of sad. Can I have a big... Well, let me rephrase that. Is this the kind of documentation world that you could get involved in? What do you think? I'm hearing some yeah, maybe. I want it to be food for thought, right? Because good documentation helps us all. I mean, we had the show of hands at the beginning, and you almost all use documentation. So bad documentation slows us down, and you personally can have an impact, and hopefully, step by step, we're making it easier for everyone to have a stake in that. Perfect. Okay, thanks.
While the second speaker is preparing, there is a guided tour which will start in the Moravské náměstí in the center at 7:30, or there will be a group leaving here around 6:50, 7-ish. But and so, in case you are interested, you can join it. It will last until 9:30 or something like that.
Hi. Okay. Since technology is failing me, I guess I'm just talking. Neither of the laptops wants me. Nevertheless, so I wanted to talk about database ransomware. Since I work for Elastic, with Elasticsearch, we have been plagued by some bad stuff recently. Even though technically it's kind of people not securing their data stores. So the idea, what I wanted to show you is, it's working now? That is, yes, can I? Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to show you how easy it is to find a vulnerable database and what people have done with that. So all I need is a browser and a bash, or something that can do curl. Yay, that looks good. Yay, thanks. Okay, so, sorry. So we want to find something that has, that is vulnerable. So we go to Shodan.io. They continuously scan the internet and just find everything that is vulnerable. So if you, for example, type in Elasticsearch here, Elasticsearch, it should find quite some instances. The ones with 401 authorization required, those have a proper proxy in front of them, so they are probably not vulnerable. So I'm just going for 200s. Those that are just replying, hey, I'm reachable. And we'll just take this one, it's any random one. And let's see what is going on with that one. So, let's see what we have here. Oh crap, that is a different keyboard layout as well. No? Paste. Yes. No. Okay, so that is the instance we have. Let's see what is in there. No. Oops, I need an underscore. No. Underscore. Cat. That is very disappointing, because that one is not hacked. That is like probably the only one on the internet that is very, very weird. How do I scroll down here? Let's try. Probably you're a better match. Don't disappoint me now. Why not? Yes, if you have something like please read, that is the sure sign that you have been hacked and everything else has been removed from your data store. And if we actually query that, it will tell you what you need to pay to get your data back. Question mark.
You should be visible on camera now.
Is it readable? Yes. So there's just one single document in there, and that tells you that they want bitcoins. So in the beginning it was 0.1 bitcoins, then they switched to 0.2, and now they're at 0.5 bitcoins. Bad thing is, I have heard from multiple sources that they just delete the data and put in a message. They do not have a backup. So even if you pay, you will not get your data back. But it might depend. This is a very common message that people will just leave there and say, hey, pay up. So first off, by default, Elasticsearch, MongoDB, any other data store normally just binds to localhost. So you will need to explicitly bind it to all the interfaces to be vulnerable to that. If you do that, either set up a firewall in front of it, put it on a private network, or use something like a proxy in front of it. For example, any HTTP proxy, which does basic auth. Or we have commercial extensions for security as well. But don't just expose your database to the internet. Though I assume that 90% of the stuff you can find there are either forgotten test instances or honeypots by now. So I don't think too many people are affected, but we had some people in our discussion forums who complained that their data was removed. And some said, well, 2 days in a row, all my data was removed from my cluster. What is going on? And it's kind of astonishing that people are in charge of somebody else's data with that approach. But yeah, that's it. Don't get hacked. Thanks.
Somebody took the thing which, yes, looks like somebody takes it with source. Yeah, it works.
So I'm going to talk about something as exciting as the documentation. I'm going to talk about quality engineering. My name is Preeti Thomas, and I work as a quality engineer for Red Hat, and I work on an open source project. So today I'm going to talk about some of the advantages of open source and quality assurance and the role that community plays in open source quality assurance. And hopefully I'll get to show some examples. It's 40 minutes talk that I'm trying to get done in 10 minutes, so let's see how that goes. I asked my daughter what it means when I say quality assurance or software quality, and she said when the software doesn't work, we'd have angry customers. And that kind of sums up what quality assurance is for me. So some of the difference between an open source and closed source development model. So the couple of one that stands out for me is in closed source we have assigned resources, while in open source we have assigned as well as voluntary contributors. And there is formal quality assurance process in closed source, while in open source we depend mostly on the community for software testing. So the open source philosophy of release early, release often results in a large number of changes often, and then the voluntary contributors and the assigned resources makes enhancement, bug fixes, and new features. But the need to make the code or the software available to the community early and often makes the quality engineering process slightly challenging and interesting. But the biggest advantage of the open source quality is its open source is its community, and it's actually one of the key objectives of the open source is to maintain a sustainable community. the open source software relies on the community to develop code rapidly, debug code effectively, and build new features. A common model used to represent a sustainable community is an onion model. I'm an Indian mom, and onion is something that I cannot do without. So the layers of onion is kind of something that I can relate with. So in the onion model for sustainable community, it has the inner layer of core team, which usually is small, with the outer layer of contributing developers, and bug reporters, and the outermost layer of users. In an engaged community, the user assumes the role of bug reporters, and that is the kind of engagement the core team needs to enable. And open source quality engineering, or open source, relies on a different variety of techniques to maintain quality. The biggest one are code modularity, peer review, are all part of that. And continuous integration and automation is heavily relied upon and required to keep up the pace of release, early release, often philosophy. And system testing is usually done by the community, or unleashing the power of the community is one of the biggest need in open source in maintaining open source quality. Some of the examples include one is a Pulp is a Pulp is a project that I work as a quality engineer on. So some of the ways that Pulp relies or depends on the community or engages the community is Pulp. Has anyone gone to the Pulp table here? Yeah, so Pulp is a project that manages repositories of content, and it supports many content types. And it is a web application written in Python, available on, released under GPL v2. And there are many customers that relies on Pulp, so the quality is very important for maintaining the quality is very important for Pulp. Pulp Smash is a test suite that we use, and it is run in continuous integration with the latest Pulp commits. And how we have designed Pulp Smash is such that anyone can use, because it is available on it is GPL licensed Python library as well. So anyone can contribute to the test automation as well. So the test cases are written in as a GitHub issue. So it's in the backlog and prioritized and automated. So and the user can submit to the automation test suite as well. So any contribution to Pulp is a contribution, or any contribution to Pulp Smash is a contribution to Pulp as well. So anywhere that you want to contribute, so Pulp or Pulp Smash. And Pulp Smash actually has heavily written documentation as well. So anyone, it has made it very simple for anyone to contribute to the automation test suite. Anyone here has participated in the Fedora test days? That is another way that Fedora engages the community. Test days are conducted to test specific component for upcoming Fedora release, and it is usually conducted between alpha and GA, and anyone can participate in test days. So there are by well-written steps that is available with the Fedora documentation, Fedora QA documentation. It's very easy for anyone who's interested in any features or any parts of Fedora to participate in test days. So all you need to do is follow the documentation and make sure that the feature that you want to test is close to complete, and creating the wiki page, which has a template as well. So one of the very important part is in hosting your test day is getting people on board. So make sure to getting the word out, to have people participate in the test day is much needed for a successful test day. A third project, anyone went to the Foreman desk here? And there were many Foreman talks as well. So Foreman engaged the community in something called bug triage or bug day, in which so while community test days in Fedora are done to test a new feature, community bug day is conducted to go through already existing bugs, so that to verify the ones that are already fixed or close out stale or duplicate bugs, or even encouraging the users to submit pull requests. So we saw 3 different ways that you can engage the community to improve quality. So in Pulp's case, the test automation itself is open source, so anyone can, and well documented, so anyone can contribute to the test suite as well. In Fedora's case, you saw how you can participate or organize your own test days, and in the case of Foreman, you saw how you can engage the community in and verify or participate by or look at the already existing bugs and how you can prioritize them or triage them. So these are multiple ways that you can participate in open source. You don't have to be, so the best part of open source is anyone can contribute. And you don't have to be a developer. If you're a developer, please contribute to the code base. Otherwise, there are multiple ways to contribute to the quality, in improving the quality or documentation. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm Sini, and I will be talking about Libabigail. And before that, I would like to know if someone already heard about it. No? Okay. At least few of them. That's good. So Libabigail will help you to keep your ABI stable in your C and C++ application. It will help you to maintain the compatibility of the ABI. So before that, going into the Libabigail, we'll see why really ABI compatibility matters. And its example is always easy, right, to explain. So like suppose you have a package foo, and it provides you a library called libfoo.so. And libfoo.so has a function called f, which is publicly can be used by other applications. So like a number of packages is relying on the on the foo package, and it uses actually the if function API in their code base. So yeah. So now what happens in the future? like you do some bug fixes and or maybe some new feature, and you thought that function F is not needed, or maybe due to some other reason you changed it, and you bumped a new version and made a new update. So what will happen? All the end packages were relying on that function F, so now all of them will break, and maybe that maintainers don't even know that their packages are breaking because that foo package foo has been changed. So it's really very important, and they will all have to fix their code base and do a new rebuild with the fix. So it's done in which all relies. So ABI compatibility really matters, and this is a very generic example. There are a lot of other cases where ABI can change, and it can impact all the packages which depends on them. And like if the function type has been changed, or the subtype it changed, or the return type changed, etc. So it can really change the ABI compatibility. So, Libabigail, it's a library which reads the ELF and the dwarf information from the binary and builds an internal representation of the ABI artifacts. So the ABI artifacts, whatever relevant for like functions, variables, and their type, these are all really important, right? Which gets exported and other applications uses it. So using the Libabigail library, there are tools also created which can be used to keep the application ABI compatible, and it's really very, very helpful. You don't have to really know that which all can break your ABI of your applications. You can just run these tools, and you can really, it will tell you what all can have ABI compatibility change, breakage can happen. So these are some tools. One is ABI-DW. It just basically gives you XML representation of all the ABI artifacts, which is really important which is important for maintaining the ABI of the applications. And there is also comments written in that, so you can really read those XML file if you want to, if you really like, because actually some folks from GCC and glibc, they really want to do that. So it's really important. And ABI diff. So it will basically run on 2 binary, and it will give you the ABI changes which all possible, maybe some added function, added variables, removed variables. So, and you can verify it whether these changes can really break the ABI of other applications or not. And ABI pkg diff, it runs on the package level. For now, we support deb and RPM, and it also takes directory where you can keep the binary, and the tar format as well. Other is the Fed API pkg diff. This tool basically right now confined to the Fedora stuff. So basically you can give NVR of any package which is available in Fedora, it will pull it, and it will give you the ABI changes. So there is also an upcoming interesting tool called KMI diff. This will be running on the kernel, between the 2 kernel trees, which will include VM Linux binary and the kernel, different kernel modules. So these are different tools, and depending upon your use case, you can use any of them. So like you can run on a particular binary, or if you are like package, or you can directly run on the package. And the Libabigail package is available in most of the distros, SUSE or OpenSUSE or the Fedora or Ubuntu, or anywhere you can find it. Just do yum install at least in Fedora, and you can start using the tools, or you can or building them also. It's very easy from the source code. So, as a live example, I will tell you in Fedora that we have started using the ABI checking, at least for now, is in the crit path packages, which are like very critical, which like Fedora QA generally make sure that they shouldn't break, because these are all which are part of when Fedora new releases happen, these packages never should break or something like that. So it at least run on those, and we use taskatron ABI check task to do that. What else? So in Fedora, we would like to increase it to all the packages, C and C++, not limited to just crit path. That's because we started with crit path because we first want to see if everything works fine and nothing is breaking, and so it's pretty stable, and we can extend it to all packages. Also, we'd like to integrate it to Bodhi. It's already in the discussion, and on the base of ABI changes, we can give +1 or -1 karma, and we can stop shipping it directly, and the packages maintainer will be notified, and they have to verify it or give the justification why they need to do the ABI changes. Also, it would be nice to find a way how we should basically notify all the n number of package maintainers whose packages might get affected due to this ABI changes if it's going to be shipped. So these are all lined up for the features, and this will really help in making the Fedora stable. That's it, and these are the references. The first one is really related to Libabigail, if you're really interested. All the bugs and documentation or tools, more details, everything is available. Links are available in this first link. And the second link will give you the live run of the taskatron ABI check task, where you can see how the packages, which all packages are failing on the ABI or passing. So it's really important. You can check that, like recently Foreman got failed due to a function change. And these are two other important two links which you can read more about it. That's it. If anyone is really interested to know more about this Libabigail, you can talk to me later after the talk, or maybe in the upcoming 2 days. Thank you.
Okay, so Sydney told us how to ensure that compatibility is not broken, and now I'm going to break some compatibility. Yes. My name is Rafał. I'd like to tell you about one bug which I have been fighting for some time already. This title is a little misleading, because if you want to know how to display genitive months by strf time, the answer is you cannot do it. It doesn't work in Linux. I have a little problem here, because I thought that this problem also applies to Czech language, but just 1 hour ago I was told that in Czech language this problem doesn't exist. So there's just please ignore whatever is here about Czech language. Other languages are still affected. So I just kept this. I have a question. How many people use those desktops in their native languages? Some of these. Okay. Does it look familiar to you? These are the default lock screens in several languages. And the question is, what's wrong here? Somebody know what's wrong? No, really? Okay, so I was told that Czech is okay, but other languages are broken. There should be different forms. The problem is that several Eastern European languages need genitive cases to display dates. It applies to most Slavic languages, but also some Baltic, also Finnish, Greek. And also a similar thing appears in some Western European languages which need de to create the genitive case. And sometimes they need the apostrophe, and this is also not handled in Linux. This is a rough list of languages, about 20 of them, maybe more, I don't know. Somebody wants to add more languages here? No? This is a map of those languages where they are located. Again, Czech is not affected. Some people might ask if it's a problem at all. Maybe we should ignore it. In my opinion, we shouldn't, because this makes Linux desktops unsuitable for schools because they promote bad grammar in local languages. So some people may say, if we need genitive cases, then let's just reward our months into genitive, and we will have it. But it's not the correct way